Hello, everybody. What is up? And welcome back to Defend the North 10. I'm Ritual, joined by Ubel, and I know both of us are pretty ecstatic to be sharing with y'all, I think, the first Rivals 2 and maybe even Rivals event in general at this event.
Yes, this will be the first time Rivals 2 is at Defend the North, fitting for Defend the North 10. It will also be, I believe, the first Rivals of Aether 2, or just Rivals 2 tournament where Arcane is legal.
That's one of them. I know he was at Warehouse War, but we only saw it as a secondary because it was like the day the character came out.
So,
yeah.
Characters released a couple over the previous weekend. This will be one of the first times where people have him fully available and fully able to practice him. I don't know if we have any Arcanes in the bracket ready, but he's there. He's on the selection screen. You can look at him. He's pretty cool. Yeah. You should play him.
To quote the patch notes, Arcane now exists.
He's a puppy.
He is. He's a puppy. He's a puppy shark.
He's a puppy shark.
He's so cute.
Puppy whale shark.
You see him in Rivals 1, you're like, oh, he's so cute. And then you see him in Rivals 2, and I feel like everyone's first reaction was, how did they make him cuter? How'd they do it?
Because if you know me, I love me some context. And it was just a blessing to my ears and eyes when they showed him off at EVO. I was like, yeah, we're not just giving you a character reveal trailer, we're also giving you lore. It's like, yes, please. Thank you.
How did I miss the lore?
So it's established lore already, but from the...
the spirit.
So the spirit of the ocean over a period of turmoil had to fragment off her own emotions. Her joy was fragmented off, and that became Arcane.
Yeah. And
so
now
he's puppy.
Yeah, he's puppy shark. He is so wonderful.
But we're going to be setting up first and foremost with what seems to be winners finals.
Okay.
Because right back there is the best Rano in the East Coast and contests for top 2 Rano in the world.
Along with Durai.
Yep. Lucius sitting down, along with one of the biggest upsets of the tournament. We're putting CheesyPotato in losers. Oh, Boxio.
Yeah, and Boxio, I think you mentioned, plays Zettermern. And what Cheesy said to me really struck out because I said, how's bracket going? She was like, oh, I'm in losers. But she had a big smile on her face. And she was like, I lost to Boxio. He's playing out of his mind. I think he's going to win the whole thing.
Looks like Boxio is playing Claren.
Claren,
yeah,
okay.
I thought he played Zetter. Maybe this is just the Claren coming out. Could also be for matchup-specific reasons because typically you want to have disjoints against Rano. None of his moves are...
this patch.
Yes. Rano is insane this patch, but none of his moves are still disjointed. You can stuff him out fairly reliably if you are playing the matchup correctly, staying grounded. And that's what Claren wants to do. And you're also not a fast faller, which is just generally nice against a combo fiend like Rano.
And it's also very cool because if you watch like the top level of Rivals 2 events that we've seen, you'll notice we see a lot of Fleet, we see a lot of we've seen up and down Crag, we've seen some Locks out here and there, we see some Rash, we see a lot of Maple.
Yes.
We see some Zetterberg. We really haven't seen a ton of Claren. There's a couple, especially Rivals players, right? But for a lot of players, it's a secondary, it's a pocket, it's something they pull out, and you don't see a lot of it at the really top level, which I think you and I both agree this very, very much is for Rivals 2.
Yes. The player base is really gravitating towards it and starting to lab and experiment, even just through thought processes when you can't actively play the game, when the beta weekend's not going. And I think Claren really benefits from that the most because her kit is something that you can envision and picture scenarios where she will be good in your head very reliably because her kit is very straightforward. Yes. It's a matter of executional practice that comes to time with practice and over time. I can think of players like Uda just really able to focus on what's happening, what's going to occur, when it's going to go. Then all he needs to do then is put in the work to make sure his spacing and his timing and everything of that note is correct. We're actually switching matches.
I was gonna say I see sitting down behind me a pair of
Sometimes we lie.
A pair of, well, to be fair, they did sit down.
Yeah, why'd they do that? Actually, they might have all just walked up and be like, all right, everybody, let's put in your tags, put in your controls, so that way when we set up, you don't have to do that. You can just get in, do a button check if you need to, and go. You don't have to set up controls.
Agreed.
Which is, optimizing. A lot of Rivals players are in some sort of STEM field, so optimizing is part of the blood.
Yeah, and one of the things I remember seeing tweets about, like, ooh, maybe I should try playing Rivals with a Xbox controller or something. And I remember Cheesy's response more than any other. Bro, you're not used to the controller meta here in Rivals 2. We all have paddles, right? They all have because with paddles, it's technically optimal because you can have your finger on both triggers, both bumpers, left stick, right stick, and all 4 face buttons at the same time.
Yep.
So it makes some of those more technical inputs, especially things like Dacus, right, where you can literally just press your ring finger to get the A button, and then for the dash attack while holding left, and then just flick up on the C stick to get that dash attack cancel up smash. It makes some of those inputs super easy and consistent. As you mentioned, fits perfectly in with the background of a lot of these players, and also just a very technical game in general. Right?
Yes.
Rivals 2 has a lot of sauce, a lot of mix between, even just in its movement, baby dashes, moonwalks, all sorts of, there's a billion different ways to do something as simple as feint a cross-up on movement, which is nuts. Like, that's awesome.
It's part of what always confused me about, like, some of the back and forth discourse of, like, oh man, like Rivals 2 doesn't feel like Rivals 1. It's like, yes, there are different engines, they do feel different, but a lot of the backbone from a design philosophy is still there. And a lot of the characters are still centered around how do we play with movement as our main resource and our main thing that we augment throughout a game. How does a internal base statistics affect the overall game plan and the different ways that this comes to play? Krag being an excellent example, as we will be seeing a Krag mirror and start off the day. Krag influences movement through his primarily through his specials, and that is going to dramatically affect the wider game state, especially with Rock in tow. Both players seem to be getting kicked off.
I was going to say, speaking of, it looks like we're getting right into it. If we can get the scene switch over, there we go. Starting things off here. It's gonna be, I believe, Cheesy on the green Krag, and
Cheesy only plays default Krag.
As she gets started with a sick little boulder combo into the command grab, and just like that, a quick stop. Listen, Krag players have been adoring that command grab since the first game, and in Rivals 2, they're only finding new sauce.
Oh, I love that from Cheesy, reacting to the attempted reversal from Connie and just finding these chain throws. You get down throw into jabs, down throw into jabs. Sometimes you bait it out with no jabs, and then you throw straight down. Of course, Krag will be able to recover from the strict down throw. No edge guard opportunity thanks to the pillar, but Cheesy is just showing off the mastery of playing this mirror over and over and over again, understanding of her character through and through. Let's see if she can finish it off. Just look for a back air. No, just hold ledge the entire time. Krag does not threaten you at that range because there is no hitbox on pillarless.
Yeah, and when you have, and Pillar here, right, in Rivals 2 is so interesting because of the use of ledge, etc. But also it does, especially in the Ditto, kind of almost leave you more vulnerable than normal. It can be very flexible, but also, as you saw, the other Krag just gets to threaten the same space, and that means if you Pillar first, you're objectively just at a disadvantage. You get hit off, you have the hitbox thrown out, and you have nowhere else to go, and then they get to Pillar from you at a bad position where you're not able to punish it. Cheesy has done a great job kind of capitalizing on that, as you mentioned, just so much experience here. And now bring us over to the counter pick on a much smaller stage where we're going to see a lot more scrapping. Connie maybe trying to catch some of the set play off guard a little bit.
Something that Cheesy is especially known for is not so much the crazy on-stage extensions and conversions that Krag players like ZB really practice, especially in Rivals 2, though she is flexing her immense combo state right now. It's the off-stage game that Cheesy is so good at, both defensively and offensively, and that seems to be everything that Cheesy is focusing this gameplay onto. How do I get Connie to either DI or get thrown off-stage entirely, and then just flex my greater knowledge of managing Krag's resources and greater experience into pure advantage. Nice recovery from both players there, but she's not going to let the next interaction go to waste. Trying to play the roll on and covering so many options with that up tilt.
Yeah, but doesn't find the command grab to get the extension, so that mistech, very smart from Connie to find her way back in. Cheesy trying to play for a mistech there on the platform again. Connie's techs haven't been on point today, and Cheesy's recognized that. Though she doesn't find it, she does get to keep the edge guard going. And Cheesy there finding a decent little ledge trap. That's something she mentioned to me she's not very comfortable with. She's like, yeah, ledge trapping is something new to Rivals 2. I'm very comfortable with my edge guards, but I haven't quite gotten a lockdown on how to lane the approach with Boulder, with Pillar, to then set up to really play defense around this ledge as a bait tool.
Yeah, sometimes that is it's definitely the name of the game for Rivals too, because adding ledges adds this whole extra dimension that players like Kaaeru really have shown off to great effect, being able to manipulate the ledge to his advantage time and time again. And of course, Cheesy is aiming for higher heights constantly, trying to play against the best players as much as possible. The pillar comes down, but misses the wall jump, ends up falling straight to her demise. Oh, hello. Yeah, but that was a great ledge cancel, by the way, from Connie. Getting put into free fall, but ledge canceling off the stage and then able to just air dodge straight back. Nice awareness from Connie, but the reverse hit a forward air. Excellent DI play, excellent placement from CheesyPotato.
And I also want to point out, as that is best of 3 in the set, that you mentioned air dodge past stage back to ledge, or past ledge back to stage. That is something that you're going to see players who come from the Rivals background here in Rivals 2 do quite a lot. Because remember, Rivals 1 doesn't have ledges. And while they had wall jumps, you still have that ability to get back on stage direct is a huge thing that they're used to. Yes. Going to ledge there would have provided Connie a couple more ways out, but you're coming from Rivals. You're not coming from a background where you have ledges to work with. You're not as used to playing for that and playing out of that to exploit that weak point.
Plus, the idea thing, I feel like the idea there from Connie is like you are consistently on the back foot. Like just from go, you're getting chain grabbed, you're getting put into this Crag blunder. Crag doesn't have the best of escape tools, always tries to play hitboxes for hitboxes. So going to ledge only further cements that you are in disadvantage and there's not really much that you can do about it as Crag in the corner. So you're trying to bypass that step completely after a game where you got 3-stocked and another game where you're getting a 2-stocked that is kind of just a gift. So you're trying to get momentum back, and the best way to do that sometimes is to play on an offbeat and be aggressive when you should be playing defensive. I don't hate the idea there from Connie. Unfortunately, it just did not work out for her.
And it felt like that, the big thing with that we were talking about before this that really came into play, which was how do you play around movement. Cheesy did it very well, and Connie got lane as a result, especially by that boulder and on stage, right? Cheesy did a great job of controlling space, forcing Connie to fight into her on her terms, and then locked it down from there. But that's also one of the things that some of these new mechanics in Rivals 2 do very well. Things like shield especially, right?
Changes the game.
But it also is a tool that I think one of the things people really don't consider about things like shield, about grabs, that they are tools that allow you to lane and pressure your opponent's movement, force them to respect certain ways they move around you without throwing out a hitbox, without freedom of movement yourself. And so there's freedom of movement just like in Rivals 1, but there's also ways to counter that, which is something that in Rivals 1, all of the defense was built around movement on its own. So it was, I'm going to flow my movement, you're going to flow your movement, and there's the only way to counter that back was with movement of your own, whereas now there's more than one way to do so, right? There is still the depth of standing your ground, there's still some mix there as well.
Right, and that's what I was going to say a little bit, or I'm going to say at the start of the set, right? Like the idea that movement is still very much a cornerstone of Rivals, but now you get this extra element of, yes, the movement is so good for a majority of the cast, but you also have to play around the more specific movement tech of a lot of these characters, like not just like baby dash ranges, not just dash dancing. All of that is still there, but you have to play around people turtling, and you have to play around especially people utilizing specific movement tech. Like with Zetterburn in the case here, getting his jump back after a down special. The Rano and his bevy of different tongue slingshots that have gotten only more devastating and more keeping more momentum throughout the entirety of these patches that have come out for Rivals 2. Yeah. We're going to see some high flying and high speed gameplay, much less focused on the little game and the little Rivals that comes down with Crag being in your face and trying to play at that super close range. But instead, it's two characters flexing their mobility stats to cover the entire stage.
Yeah, and right, Zetter and Rano, as you mentioned, they're not right. One of the traps people fall into is they compare these characters to characters from Smash, right? And especially from Melee, you get this is Sheik and Fox at home, but it's really not. These characters have some elements of their kit, but there's other ones they don't. Rano is a character that can find some tech chase, re-grabs, but the optimal way to do so actually is not something we've seen a lot of Rano's doing yet, which is Rano's Baby Dash is incredible. Baby Dash, remember, Baby Dash gives you a standing grab because it's just a slide forward that's actionable. It also doesn't have a turnaround animation. So if you pivot grab, it's like a perfect pivot back act in Smash 4. It is the best way to get at standing grab, get your fastest grab, and get the most frame advantage and cover the most space for a lot of these characters to find those extensions. Characters like Lox, characters like Rano, characters like Arcane get really good opportunities to find tech chases much more consistently by utilizing Baby Dash Grab, and it's something that I'm really curious to see if either of these players or moving on, later in winner's side, if we see anybody start to implement, because it is something that in this patch, especially that 2-frame window, a lot more easy to do.
Yes, BB dashing and general specific movement is always going to be king. It's always going to be the biggest part of any sort of rivals, Studios of Ether project. In terms of their fighting games, they also have made other games in other genres. They made a dating game, by the way.
Did they? Oh yeah, and they also made
Lovers of Ether. Yeah, it's great.
Lovers of Ether, Dungeons of Ether. Yeah, there's a card game.
There's a comic. There's a mobile game, Creatures of Ether. Anyway,
yeah.
Studio of Ether, it's great. These two are getting kicked off, and the biggest thing that you want to see from Nexplosion here is how do you beat Shield without Zetterburn, rather, one of the things that Zetterburn flexes, it's beating Shield without finding grabs, because Zetter doesn't necessarily love playing into this grab game, doesn't get a ton of damage off any sort of chain throws or tech chases. What he wants to beat Shield with is unrelenting pressure, and these shines are an excellent way to do that, and when you ignite your opponent with any one of these shines, if any one of them connects, then you get those increased strongs that absolutely devastate any character at any weight.
Yeah, I really like the attempt to come in there with that falling Nair, but unfortunately you just misspaced it slightly, and Rano's so capable to microspace some of these hitboxes, right? Like up tilt, down tilt, auto space you a little bit as well, and hurtbox shift that he's able to wiggle around, find these advantages, and then just keep it going, whether through the true combo or the 50-50, and then when it comes to killing, has up smash, has down smash, these tools that cover just so much space, right? To close it out on a landing trap.
Yeah, we're getting to see Nexplosion really start to flow here when it comes to these charged up shines, trying to flex these disjointed options. As I said earlier, Rano can really struggle going hitbox or hitbox with people with greater range, and Zetterburn keeps up the speed but has the range to boot. Yo, that turnaround shine off of the ledge in order to find the back air was sick from Nexplosion.
Dude, I mean, that was a whole 6 out from both players, right? Like Kaaeru too, getting the tech chase, reading roll after roll after roll to keep that one going, but then just getting blown up once, and we've seen Nexplosion kind of making, right, playing like the tag, right, just making these very explosive situations in stocks, but now with that 1 poison stack, all you need on the bubble to line up into that kill confirm, and that's a trap you cannot fall into against Rano.
An excellent setup as well, as we see Kaaeru start to flow a little bit, get those regrabs, get all those tech chases going. Unfortunately, reacts a little bit too slow thanks to the tongue end lag. Catches the jump with the forward air. You get the jump back, still has wall jump. All you need is grab ledge, but Zetterburn makes it back, and the pity flip is going to get you back to ledge. Nexplosion hunting for anything to get started, but Kaaeru is putting out so much coverage. These back airs are lingering forever. Truly meaty, but no, you have to let you have to close out Zetterburn's stocks right here. He can explode for so much damage, and then 3 for 3 on the down strong finishes. Kaaeru taking the game.
And Kaaeru did a really good job pressuring Zetter to corner, trying to capitalize on that linear limited recovery that is so easy for a character like Rano with that movement with the aerial needles that have such little lag in this patch, right, to exploit. However, with that center platform, we could have seen a couple times where some of those extensions were dropped, where Nexplosion was able to reset. We could have seen things like hitfall up air or down air to pop you up on platform, to find some of the vertical combos, to find some of those juggles and get more guaranteed damage that Rano can put out in those juggle situations. The fact that we didn't is something that Nexplosion very well could keep track of and try and exploit more that unwillingness to play the vertical game. Here on the platform layer, though, this small biplat with these vertical shifts, I mean, we might see more of it, but again, it just doesn't look like it's Kaaeru's priority right now.
No, they are fully focused on trying to apply that pressure. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, ways to beat Shield without grabbing. Zetter doesn't want to grab. Zetter wants to blow you up. He wants to light you on fire and make sure that you are always put in this intense amount of hit stun that he can flex with all of these claws. The Nair comes down, but was undershot a little bit. Kaaeru taking that as an opportunity. Yet the cross up from the down strong was so nice from Nexplosion. He's looking to both players looking to contest, but that trade's going to net Rano. Huge confirm. Kaaeru not able to close out the edge guard, but the down strong is always there to pick it up. Sending it a brutal angle. Can you finish the edge guard? No, you missed the ledge. Tragic.
He tried so hard, but it just didn't quite work out. Forward air, unfortunately, doesn't get the sour spot, but still going to do enough. Burned all the resources, and unfortunately, while you can up special quite a distance, you can't wall jump out of it here in Rivals 2. Ledges did take that one away. So Kaaeru gonna go down. Now, though, is able to come back out. Nexplosion here swinging down a stock, but still trying to keep this one close. Pick up the stock, has the edge guard scenario, utilizes the shine stall, and finally calls out one of these bubbles, but even still, the hit lag extension just shifts your momentum just enough that Kaaeru's able to get back on stage from it.
And it's always so rough when you're trying to find these edge guards as Crag, but because of the greater control over the 45-degree angle that Rondo has off stage with dive kicks and with tongue swing shots, it's so hard in order to find a truly confirmed sweet spot of these forward airs on stage, but going right from off stage into in advantage. We are putting together so much control. The shine, but drifting backwards, thought he would go the other way. The jab comes down looking for a down air, commits to the up strong either way, and Kaaeru gets a chance to go. The down strong is charged, but it's not going to connect.
And great find out of the reversal there. You saw he did that wave dash back off the platform edge there, but the whole reason he was put in this disadvantaged state to begin with, right? The first time around that came out of that scramble was because the platform lowered as he tried to do that wave dash off the platform edge, and since it dropped, he got the air dodge instead, got put in disadvantage for it. Now it's just going to be another slight movement mistake that's going to take 65-72. The damage racking on for Kaaeru here, trying to close out the set. Again, this is still best of 3 territory.
Yes, and it's a miracle how much power a couple of poison stacks really have, because if you get one of those command grabs, it's over. The pity foot makes you back to stage, and Nair to come down, trying to close out and get Kaaeru out of this crouch cancel range, but the forward strong comes in clutch. Goes for the down air, double down air to make it back. A couple shines, but misses the wave shine. That's so tough. Nexplosion needs any one of these hits, as all of the Rondo pressure is going to come in and really make it tough for Zetter to make it back. The DI down into tech chase. Holding steady, the back throw to close off stage. Needs something big. The platform has an opportunity. Hit fall up airs coming in clutch. Let's see, the forward air comes out. Reverse forward air is so tough. Richard, we are just seeing just pure offense and no risk
for Nexplosion, but however here he does just slide right back. Like, what a great angle on that up special to find a way back. Now it's going to be Zetterburn just racking on the pressure and the advantage, but it's going to be a missed jab. The scramble is going to go back Kaaeru's way. He's got the edge guard opportunity attempt here, tries to find the Nair, and it's going to go back again. The juggle, they're going to slow down, reset one more chance here, Ubel.
We're seeing Kaaeru play as much as possible with the amount of coverage focus as he can, but Nexplosion is all about the risky plays. We saw that before, the ledge special in order to intercept. Nexplosion finds just the correct angle, looks for the up air, looks for the shine, but no finding it. He makes it back, but he jumps just the jump to ledge, getting scouted by Kaaeru with the meaty hit of forward air, sending straight out, holding down a furious comeback attempt from Nexplosion and finding a way to win that set in a fiery 2-0. Holy moly, the fact that Nexplosion took the entire set to try and figure out the angle he needed to thread that needle against hold ledge into ledge special meant that he avoided the get-up attack that would put him into the bubble, and instead just thread the needle right back to stage, where he could even find a reversal off it because ledge special has that much more end lag than something like a ledge roll. So beautifully played in order to make it back, but the fact that he missed the shine off when trying to rise to the platform after landing an up air sealed the fate, because it yet again put him in disadvantage, and all of those mix-ups were just gone.
And Ubel, I mean, at the end, right, it started to get a little bit sloppy from both players, as happens, right, when you're at those 150% ranges in those deep red, right? You know, like they say in Brawlhalla, I believe, right? The barbecue sauce percent. I love that term.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, but like you get there and you just start to panic a little bit, right? You start to miss some of those inputs a tiny bit left, right, and center. And we saw it wasn't just the shine, but earlier on, right? A missed grab, a jab 1, 2, 3 that didn't find their mark, and the other player would swing, miss back, swing, scrap back. We saw reset to neutral after both players traded advantage and coast to coast on a missed edge guard at 160 and 170 apiece, because they just both were like, oh no, I missed, what do I do? Back off, just breathe. And they took that breath to reset. That being said, now that we've taken a breath to reset, let's take a breath and reset our mentals, because this isn't best of 3 territory anymore.
Finally.
We've entered top 4, which means we're here in best of 5. And what better way to start things off than a trip for the first time here on stream to winner's side.
We find, everything exists in perfect circles is something that was told to me at one point, and we're all the way around our way back to 30 minutes ago, where we have winners final set up. Lucius sitting in the full fursuit today. He got a new one recently. And Boiko representing this Kaaeru. They're going to go back into Rockwall for their button check.
Yep.
Yeah, always. I always see Lucius go to Rockwall for his button checks because it is the most consistent way for him to practice edge cancels on Rano's dive kick, because that's who we're going to be seeing, Lucius on the Rano and Boiko on the Kaaeru.
You see fleets go here a lot for a lot of the same reason, with the up special and the flip shot as well, both of which can be edge cancel. Anyone who has those specials that commit to specific movement heights, the fact that you have those vertically stacked platforms mean you can practice out of both short hop and full hop, practice a lot of movement here, while still having what is ostensibly a biplat layout to practice some of the more simple movement tech as well. Boiko, on the other hand, we talked about it a little bit before, but if you're just tuning in, playing that Kaaeru and upsetting CheesyPotato to get here in a matchup that I think is okay for Kaaeru in this game, but like, again, is just one of the characters that we don't see a ton of here in Rivals 2, at least until this point.
Yeah, I think Kaaeru does a lot to hold down in mid-level play. It's like when you get to the higher levels that you don't see as much Kaaeru. Of course, there are still the Kaaeru players like Uda, as I mentioned. MSB has a lot of faith in this character in his secondary to Crag. Oh, that still hits. How about that? Sorry, they just tested something out. Fully charged Kaaeru neutral B does hit a crouching Rano. Very nice.
I like that it's a, hey, can we test this before the set?
Yeah, can we just check this
winners
out?
finals, but can we test this?
Dude, Rivals players are lab rats, pun entirely intended. The way that everybody seems to like just think about the game, share information, be willfully sharing information across the multitude of Discord servers that are just solely built around mid to high level play and like advancing players with the Rivals Academy series, Rivals Recess. There is an entire local scene, online local called Go to School, run by Nemi, which is amazing. Like there is just, it's all about like learning and increasing the skill floor and skill ceiling of the game as much and as fast, as quickly as possible.
And I just gotta say, like, I'm someone getting my master's in education, right? That's been one of my favorite things about this community, because part of a fighting game, part of being involved here isn't just loving the game, it's loving the people who play it. And seeing the way that everyone, even the people competing against each other, as you mentioned, who will push each other to get better, has been absolutely inspiring. Right now, though, Boiko is gonna need to be a little bit uninspired as he goes up against the 1 seed, and one of the best players in this tournament does get out of the break, as you mentioned, and start to get some pressure going, but gets caught on the platform a little bit, and Lucius is willing to hold center stage. However, it's all a trap for Boiko.
Yeah, holding steady. The Godai Delta having a more traditional biplat layout as Lucius comes in with the tech chase, representing movement. This is classic Lucius gameplay for anyone that has watched him in Rivals 1. It's all about movement, needles, and defensive opportunities to convert into offense. Always willing to play on the back foot, but Boiko's challenging him on that defense. The downer comes in, looks for the ledge grab. Oh, I love the flow from every state to the next. Goes from ledge grab into an on-stage grab to throw back off stage, reset into the forward strong, and suddenly that is first stock for Boiko.
And watch the way he's finding these 1, 2, 3 hits into a 50-50, and then he's waiting, and he's calling out Lucius for that movement, for the patient movement he's used to. Lucius, one of the things he said to me was, I wonder why people don't run away and then just pivot needles, turn around needles, throw them back, and just get the poison attack on you. Well, the answer is, especially if they're playing that more measured game, they're going to punish you for it. And right now, Boiko is punishing every commitment to movement that Lucius makes in spades.
And hence why we saw Lucius just rocket and shield on platform there for way longer than I'm sure anybody that is coming from Rivals of Ether is used to. After relying on it just for a little bit, the ledge jump, getting back to stage as Boiko looks to continue this aggression. Back throw into forward strong, comes in again, the fully charged, not even the fully charged, the mostly charged neutral B covering that horizontal plane. Lucius cannot get by with these dive kicks, but a clean conversion off the platform is going to set up for the sour spot of forward air, netting him at least 1 stock, and with the potential to make one of these stocks back if Rano can find any edge guard.
Oh, he was setting up to try and push you in the bubble there. And I love the way that we're seeing Boiko, again, set up and lean these movement with these traps as well. We saw him jump to ledge, force a high recovery to set up for that neutral special, playing this very funny, slow game plan. But now Lucius already adapting, utilizing that long-distance tongue grab, right, to at least pressure you, reset, and say, okay, I gotta find a way to play outside your burst range. You've got the sword, so what do I do from here? Right now, though, Boiko is willing to just take these hits, trade out these crouch cancels, recognize that you do get more mileage off that in some ways against Kaaeru, but also, again, if you hit those tippers, it doesn't matter a ton.
Oh, the dash attack blind spot is rough for Lucius in that moment as the tech chase comes in for Boiko. Let's see if he's able to apply the same sort of pressure. Looks for the neutral B, but no dice. coming in with the, that movement from Lucius was so good. The ledge trap was there, but the quick little get on, then run off in order to find the tongue. Can you find the backer? No, missing the edge guard is huge and not able to pick it up after, thanks to the rapid jabs from Boiko.
But did you see the height at which he landed? It was perfect. It almost looked like, I don't know if it was a nil, but it looked like something akin to it. Where he had almost no end lag out of that up special, and then went all the way up and out there to find game 1. Remember, Lucius is the #1 seed of this event.
Yes.
Boiko beat CheesyPotato, the #2 seed, I think maybe #3 because of a conflict, to get here. But Boiko, very good player, certainly. But this is insane what we're seeing right now.
And we are in first to 3 territory. Got to win 3 of those. Shout out as well to Boiko, hitting something that was being talked about as a little bit harder in this game compared to Rivals 1. Hitfall Fair 1 has a little bit more knockback growth than Fair 2, especially on the tipper. So it's more optimal to land Fair 1 and Hitfall to miss the Fair 2. Super nice stuff from Boiko in order to find that. And still, though, Merchant Port is a classic stage for any Rano player. The amount of movement that you get with these top platforms is devastating, and Lucius is trying to flex that right now.
Yeah, plus those aerial needles, like being able to at an angle, like cover the empty space in the middle where you want to kind of counter that movement. And we saw what was the first long advantage state from Lucius this whole time around. That being said, he still gets trapped up top, and we've seen how good Boiko is at just utilizing this sword to cover those landings, keeping the percent decently close. But you have to push everything just to get the wall jump, get back, and I like the reset there with that up special. Back air going down low, and man, that frog's got legs, he's got the jumps, he's got the hops, and he's going to take that first stock finally.
I like the insistence on the Lucius's part. Like, not everything is just, grab the ledge and hold on to it. Adjusting the bubble, but faking it out in order to get the dive kick instead. The movement again off this platform to waveland back onto it. Lucius is playing that defensive game. We know he can play it to such a high level. Intercepting with the back air. Now making sure that Boiko is very, very threatened by the hitbox speed and the frame data from Rano, getting hit after hit time and time again, but Lucius' spacing is so good. He's always making sure he's getting back across Merchant Port rather than into the blast zone.
And one of the things that we're seeing Boiko do really well, even as he doesn't avoid that bubble, is slow down his pace of play a little bit. He's playing very reactive with these tippers. Even though Lucius is trying to microspace and adjust to try and take some of these sour spots, we've only seen him really succeed on 1 or 2 because Boiko's letting him have to commit to his drift based on positioning alone before he really actually commits to what route he's going to go for. It's a huge way to counter some of this defensive play, and he's making it work in spades against someone who's not just a great defender, but a great adapter as well.
Absolutely here, Ritual, as we see the needles come down from Lucius, who's getting a chance to flow a little bit, starting to play around some of these jumps from Boiko. Lucius looking back, but Boiko stuffs out a jump of his own. Undershooting a couple times there, forcing Lucius to get in with that back air. One hit is not going to be too devastating on a wide stage like Merchant Port. The dash dance is going to allow Boiko to set up in this ledge trapping position of his own. The up tilt comes down. Can't find anything more, though.
I love the long dash dances, though. That's something we saw new from Boiko in this game, into those pivot F smashes. Right, we're seeing the F smashes before, but just those long dash dances, again, mix up your timing, mix up your pace of play, keep the person who's used to movement-based defense playing off kilter, because that's how you break it down on the elementary level. Right now, though, it's just Boiko trying to find a read, not feeling like he hasn't confirmed yet at this percent that he can commit to based on these platform positionings, and that's been a huge difference maker. As well, Boiko's getting these reads early. He's not getting them as often, and it's much harder for him to find the stock because Lucius is giving him the hits when he's got the entire cross stage to go.
Yeah, the management of the risk is so huge here. Can't quite reach the tipper up air and the forward strong. Understanding that slingshot is what Lucius was going to go for, but not able to find the appropriate punish. Looking to capitalize on the bubble being there. Again, Lucius looks for the wide horizontal recovery route, but the dive kick comes in. Can you finish off the stock here? No. Okay, Boiko gets back and has the jump. There was a chance. There was a chance.
Huge bubble situation, not once but twice. And the position the bubble has taken around these platforms, essentially to make that kind of ramp between the top platforms and the side platforms, has made it so hard for Boiko to move around, right? force him to swing through this bubble, which is allowing Lucius to use it almost as a substitution dummy, right? Like in Pokemon, and just say, take that first hit, be my Mimikyu, and take it out. Unfortunately, just not going to up special early, not going to wall jump first, maybe tried to wall jump after the fact instead, forgot that, hey, this is Rivals 2 and not Rivals 1, so you can't do that.
It happens when you get caught up in your movement a little bit. Like you saw that he didn't want to up B too early, because then that would be a free dash attack for Lucius, even from full stage or from half stage like that. So you try to up B a little bit later, but then you recognize it was a little too late, so maybe your wall jump didn't come out, so you panic and you press up. It happens. But either way, very, very clean adaptation from Lucius there to mix up just how he was playing around and utilizing the platforms to an amazing T to get out of dangerous situations, especially off stage, time and time again. So Boiko's going to shut that down, under control a lot more space, and just have a lot less space for Rano to move here on Treetop.
And I like them pick the Treetop because of space, as you mentioned, but because of that too, and because of where the platform starts, being player 2 on that right side, right? It forces Boiko to take 2 needle stacks. That means the damage was huge from Rano on the onset, and we saw Lucius just convert that into a quick stock. He's adapting, but he has the opportunity to as well. It's just been his ability to hold his distance and force the swing, force the commitment on these edge guards out from Boiko before he can recover to change that up special time and find himself getting a couple more chances than in game 1 to get back to the stage. And once Rano has his feet on the ground, I mean, where do you go?
This character can smother everybody, even at the best end, even at the worst of times. I like that Lucius is just controlling so much tempo whenever Boiko is allowing him to gain initiative. It's been jab 1-2, back off. It's jab 1-2, down tilt. Jab 1-2, up tilt a little bit earlier to throw things off. Has to jump in order to slingshot with the bubble yet again, but you make it back to ledge. Oh, big risk taken there from Lucius as the back 4 strong comes in. Boiko needing a big play and hunting for it, swinging and challenging Lucius in multiple positions, but not able to get the up strong in that key moment. It's going to fall victim to yet another simple 2-piece conversion off the back throw.
Listen, you know what? Lightning Cat's Hoe all the way with that up special there for Boiko, but not going to find it. The bubble once again coming in clutch. Lucius again utilizing the hitbox and that momentum stop from it so immaculately. Plus the air stall there. Again, it's not about putting it between you and them, but putting it there so it lanes the approach. That being said, Boiko saw what was coming this time, has taken the notes and implemented them to find the opportunity. Now, though, it's about making up this ground, and Lucius has been so hard to do that against.
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of these windows come in from Boiko, things that you can start to capitalize on either later in this game or maybe later in the set. Well, sometimes Lucius's panic button has been forward tilt if he doesn't understand the side, and that is a massively punishable option.
And did you see that way he got out of that juggle on the top right? He used that single SSDI input, a new mechanic here in Rivals 2, who kind of replacing Drift DI. It's essentially a single SDI input that you can get.
Yeah, you just gotta hold it.
Yeah, to get out of dodge a little bit more easily. You're seeing some of those sudden shifts from Lucius as he's finding his way out of some of these Clarion combos that, since they put you in more hit stun, right? It's a little bit more susceptible.
Definitely, especially with the added hit stop, as you mentioned. Oh, reading the roll in, having just that good mindset and that awareness on the side of Lucius, netting himself a 44% combo, and that can be devastating in motions like these because you know Lucius's DI is on point. All of this damage matters so much.
Dude, that needle there to find his way out of the disadvantage, right? Like, Boiko got back to stage in the first place there with the up special perfectly spaced. Lucius was in a disadvantage pressure situation. He recognized, hey, I have the time to throw the single needle, give me just enough time to get back down, and then went for the side special to cover the defensive retreat from Boiko in turn. Now Boiko has to make all the ground in the world up here when on Treetop you have no spare room to work with. This platform is going to be swinging back and forth, and that's going to work to Rano's advantage because you don't get that up throw to reset to platform tech chase there. Now the defense comes in, Treetop swinging in for the reversal, and this frog has got all the tools in his favor.
Oh, we're seeing Boiko try to make these comebacks here. Another up throw, finds the forward air, looks for the back air and potentially DI in or getting too eager. And Lucius is definitely getting a little bit antsy. Needs to put a cap on some of this aggression that Boiko has been showing off, but another dash attack comes down. Another get stuff out in these anti-air. Up air comes down. Another one. Has an opportunity for an up air. Tries to pivot to forward air instead, but Lucius gets by. Percents now tied here, Ritual. We're getting to see a last hit game number 3, which could be ever so important for the rest of the set.
That was crazy, by the way, that actually hit that down tilt on the jump. And no way the platform's gonna swing in. that came in at the nick of time off the treetops. Lucius shaking his head because even though he won, you can see him laughing. He knows he got away with one a little bit, right? He popped him up to look for something.
Yes.
Like, it was a great idea, but the fact that you run in and as treetops coming underneath, know you're going to get popped up like that, that part was kind of...
Okay, the treetop swing is certainly a little bit fortunate, and Lucius shaking his head. But he did also land Rano down tilt at 118.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He was already dead.
Yeah, but like,
so
let's be real, that like, yes, but also treetop on the missed tech there could have...
It could have mattered.
If you get that tech, you delay it slightly, you buffer a roll in the right position, you buffer a roll out, in the right position, it would have swung your way past that kill confirm, but unfortunately, was not able to... Too many moving factors, right?
And a lot of moving parts. You're not ready for it, which is why we're seeing Boiko switch up to a similar stage with similar positives for Kaaeru, but a little bit more consistency. You have the platforms. It benefits a lot from shield dropping, but the blast zones are still very, very close to the stage, something that can very much benefit Kaaeru if you play your cards right.
And speaking of, again, another missed tech, we've seen Boiko not get put in a ton of tech situations, but really hasn't hit the techs when he has been. And I know I wanted to ask you about this stage as well for Lucius, because you mentioned that this is the stage he always goes to for his button checks, right?
Yeah.
This is the stage that he feels very comfortable and maybe most comfortable on movement-wise. And so even though this is Boiko's counter pick, how do you feel that that's going to affect Lucius here?
See, I'm fairly certain, as we see this full combo start to play out from Boiko, Boiko feels good about stuffing out movement from Rano. We've been seeing it over and over. Air-to-airs, anti-airs, all of them have been on point. Slingshots have not been used offensively, purely to get out of danger, and even then, some of them have been stuffed. A jab there, catching a dash in, back air as well. Boiko has played around Rano's movement so unbelievably well that he's not worried about the added movement that these platforms give Rano. He's always just worried about Lucius's defense and allowing him to disengage, which Rockwall is very much a stage where you can't really disengage.
Yeah, we just saw that there, right? Boiko just never able to find a way out of that trap. Losing his stock from the edge guard. That being said, for the first time now, Lucius gets put on the bubble on terms not his own, and Boiko able to just keep him in. As you mentioned, again, Uble this extended advantage. He tries to hit the bubble away to disrupt him, but Lucius was ready and expectant, and now it's going to be the reset to neutral for all the trouble.
Lucius wants to set up another advantage opportunity on block. He's been so good at playing like the jab 1-2, then play the mix-up after opportunity, but Boiko's been staying mobile and been picking options at a much quicker tempo out of shield. Doing so there, trying to cut down, and does so, slashing right through that frog as Lucius tries to go high, finishing off that stock early, very importantly, at just 100 is key for Boiko to make it back into not only this game, but bring us to a game number 5.
Well, just the coverage and the movement there, you see Boiko has been very similar with his movement, starting to mix up around some of these platforms a little bit. Now I just like the Nair trying to push you back, but Lucius, again, just making sure he gets sent to platform, give himself the flexibility to get out of dodge. Now it's just going to be the extension of the tech, but getting caught that far under platform. Great DI out there from Lucius, or from Boiko to reset, and he's going to have an opportunity now to push that for an advantage for his trouble. Misses the reverse up smash, strong though, and that's going to be huge. Lucius is going to pick one of his own, but that high top blast zone is going to come in clutch.
Yeah, playing so good, playing so well around all of these different tech chase opportunities. Slingshotting back and then the B reverse needles in order to get all the way to the right side of the stage. Yet, no stocks dropped quite yet. The parry, Lucius looking for something, anything really to close out this game. The down strong tech chase, not going to be the sweet spot, but you might not need one very soon.
And hold on, that was a little bit of a moonwalk at ledge there. Just Boiko getting a little fancy with it as he just waits for Lucius to get into a position to get a little bit of an edge guard attempt. Tries to find the downer to end it, looking for the read. It's going to be Boiko getting a little antsy there, but that's okay. He had the fins, the stock to work with, right? Lucius still, as you mentioned, can absolutely take this. We've seen Mono delete a stock in one combo. He has to get back to stage though, and yeah, against Kaaeru, those tippers hurt, man. Those tippers hurt.
And honestly, you don't even need them sometimes. I mean, that down strong was not a sweet spot, but it was still absolutely enough. Even with good DI. That DI was straight to the corner of Rockwall, but you know, sometimes even when the purple doesn't come, I love that.
Bro, it gives you wings. Red Bull, it gives you wings. We need the wings on the first suit.
All right.
Lucius, help us out.
Lucius, your next commission. I know what you're getting. All right, drop it in with the Fire Capital. Again, everything that Lucius wants. high, multi-level platforms to aid in his movement, wide stage in order to engage and disengage at his own timing, and plenty of means for him to control with needles and defensive opportunity to convert into offense.
I do think that this stage, even though is going to be told by the story is going to be told by the low platforms being on the inside. We saw them when they're on the outside, how well that can control the space Vano wanted to occupy by letting you dance around and outside the burst range that Clarion wants to control. Here, though, you're kind of almost funneled into it, right? That V forms a funnel right towards the sword of Clarion. And we saw there, right? If Lucius gets trapped in the middle, he has nowhere to go but the blast zone. If he gets caught in ledge, it can be hard for Boiko to get some of these low percent advantage stages. So we might see Lucius try to play a little bit of a more distance game to just exploit the higher platform in the corner here.
I would be surprised if we didn't see, if Lucius gets the opportunity with a lead, to play a little bit more of that keep away, like far away type of game, especially with this needle play. Looking for the edge guard yet again, grabbing ledge, but held onto it a little too long. Down tilt into the forward air, closing out that stock. Very well played, prolonged advantage state from Lucius, trying to find this stock, but we know that Boiko can be so explosive. We saw the non-tipper into the up strong confirm earlier. Another one of those can be devastating, and early stocks are the name of the game for Boiko to cement this lead and never to let Lucius flex this frame data as he had been earlier in the set, trying to be offensive but getting stuffed out.
They're calling out the jab there. They're beautiful stuff there from Boiko, willing to take that on shield, not saying, hey, I don't even need to attempt to parry this because I have enough frame data after the fact to find my grab, to find my pressure, and keep on going. However, you jump in once, but you get caught by that forward air spike and can be absolutely lethal. Vano running you in a tech chase, has the movement to cover it for days, and Boiko just not able to get away right now, Ubel. He's trying to cover the platform so incredibly well, but he just hasn't found his ability to do so consistently just yet. Again, it's when he's in center stage, he's the most comfortable person in the world. But once he has to deal with Vano, when he's in the corner, all of a sudden Vano gets to exploit those high platforms, and it's a really rough time for Clarion.
Oh, the roll through. We'll see if Lucius, goes for the dash attack there. We're on like layer 5 or 6 of like Lucius approaches Boiko, who puts up shield. What happens? Like both players are playing around each other so well. The bubble save. Again, Lucius able to survive that downer. Slingshot into up tilt, but no spiking forward air. Wanted a reset instead of just taking a back air. Lucius fully aware that he needs to have his hits matter in order to make certain that his lead is in control. Needles, but no forward air. Doesn't even need it with the ledge hog.
And Ubel, that was the first ledge reset we saw from either player all set long, and Lucius called it out, found the stock for his troubles. Talk about a time to find the call, to find the read, to flex your top player prowess, right? If ever there was a moment, it's now. Game 5, I have to steal that last stock advantage. Boiko just standing there menacingly, waiting for something, trying to call it out, but with the bubble in between, you have to hit it away. You know you can't take that stock with it in the way, but that's going to give Lucius a chance. Even still, he's going to lose a stock, and this is where we want to be.
I love Lucius just hanging out next to this bubble. It's like, what are you going to do about it? Put me in the bubble? That's fine. Oh, the special break, anticipating the special throw, which would have added so much combo potential on any one of Clarion's throws. This time just goes for the up air, forward air. Oh, and the follow-up. Boiko is so good at anticipating the DI direction and the movement after landing a hit. His combo state has been so prolific, but the stuff out from Lucius not able to extend off that up tilt. Here's party time.
And that was just all out of his spam, right? He missed the tipper on that down air that he was looking for to get things started, but just Phil found it after the fact, and now it's an opportunity to potentially close it out. However, the DI has been immaculate. We keep mentioning it from Lucius. It's going to give him one more chance to cover himself with the bubble. He's going to get popped in there, but again, that high platform means it's a reset, right? This is Vano's strength. He now has to get to center stage. Boiko trying to capitalize, but this time it's a bait. The wave dash through, though. Lucius is going to now have to be on the chase, have to get caught by the grab, get out of dodge, and this is the time.
Ooh, it's going to be it. Yes, the Galaxy is always guaranteed a stock finish, and Boiko, recognizing the mistake on the platform, plays the long game, knowing that Lucius has to pick an option because Clarion up tilt covers the entirety of that platform with its tipper, so an option needs to be selected, played around it with sour spot for up air, and also acknowledging his own percent windows. He's not able to get the finish with the up strong like he did in the first stock, so he chases for the up air, spaces it perfectly. Boiko moves on to grand finals, upsetting the two most prolific Rivals 1 players here, two players that are going to be in the crew battle at Supernova next weekend. But you know what? Boiko is cementing himself as a Rivals 2 legend.
Yeah, and listen, right? These are also two players that are, are going to Wavelength, I believe, in Massachusetts, which is going to be a huge rival event. Right? They just announced Cake Assault. These are some of, as you mentioned, the most prolific people in this game franchise. They are top players. They are the top Titans. They were the top 2 seeds. And Boiko carved through both of them with that late Plasma Blade on the way. Like, yes, he was pushed to the limit.
Game 5.
But he carved through them quite literally with that Plasma Blade, right? And is now sitting on Grand and winner's side. That is what we look for here in a new game that's not even out yet. This is where your guard can change hands. This is where legends can be forged. This is where you can make your name in a new game more than any other time. And with some of the top attendance in the building on one of the biggest stages, literally, that we've had for Rivals 2. It's a huge stage, right?
I wonder what are the dimensions on that thing.
We've got someone unexpected in Grand's winner's side? That's awesome. Crazy. Right? That means...
It's like with Switch coming out and beating Cake Assault at Collision 2024. Like, it is players from other fighting games, not just Rivals Legacy, that makes this game so cool, because it feels like every fan of platform fighters has looked at Rivals 2 and thought, man, this game is sick. And they're right.
Yeah, that being said, speaking of sick, here's a sick and interesting thing that might help Cheesy in the long run. She's got to play Kaaeru right now.
She's got to play double Rano to get it to Grand.
And while that's rough, especially for Crag, right? Like, big body doesn't, how can I have a rough time with Rano? You do also have the boulder, right? You have some tools to play defensive to disrupt some of those needles, at least lane the movement a little bit. That being said, if Cheesy can get past Kaaeru, right? You're at least warmed up, right? You're going to have a lot better practice in the moment to go up against Lucius than Lucius is going to have against Crag at that level. Or just in bracket, and sometimes having that back-to-back, even if it's a hard matchup, can make all the difference in the second set. So I think it's going to be hard for Cheesy to get there, but if she does, I think she's going to be about as well situated as possible to make an attempt at the upset herself.
And Cheesy's already the most studied matchup specialist in Rivals 1. And I don't think that's up for debate given her ranking. She's a solo Crag player. Crag known to have a ton of rough matchups in higher levels of play. And instead of trying to switch to secondaries or switch characters completely, like MSB or ZB did, she just said, you know what, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm just going to figure it out with Crag. I know Crag is my best character. I know I'm the best player I can be when I am playing Crag. So I'm just going to figure it out. And she does. Over and over and over again.
And folks, if you think it's just us, one of my a dear friend of mine, her name's Rufan. She's a Rivals player, over in the PNW. She was just outside the top 50 this season by like a placing or 2. She's right on that cusp with Crag. Every time I talk to her about Crag, she's like, Cheesy does this, Cheesy does that. Like, if you hear a Crag player who plays at the high level talk about Crag, all of them are taking the notes from Cheesy, are like, Cheesy does this, I want to get games with her. Like, they all revere her. And that's crazy to say, because in a game like this, right, where there's so much stylistic integrity, for one person to have pushed their character's meta so far and be considered the innovator even at the top level by other players, where people who are at their level are saying, yeah, this person's a cut above us, we want to learn everything from her, speaks to what we were talking about earlier with the atmosphere around the game and everyone pushing each other to get better. But it also pushes just to what you were talking about with the study, how studied Cheesy is and how well she knows the ins and outs of Crag like nobody else.
Okay. They're watching Sam Show right now, but like they're gonna.
It's a cool game.
Very cool game. But just to double down what you're saying, Rich, because like 100%, Cheesy is a studied player, one of the best. Kaaeru, nothing to sleep on, of course. His Rano has shown to be absolutely very clean. Another player who spends a lot of his time on the organizing side, pushes his, likes to help the game as a community grow as best as he can. So we're going to see both of them kick it off, Crag and Rano. Let's see how it goes. Instant needles, instant rock. Oh, snatched.
And that makes sense, right? You want to both get that rock down on stage to try and prevent some of that needles, prevent some of that unintruded space. And Cheesy was talking about that to me before. She was like, I wonder about tossing this up more here at ledge to set up some of these ledge traps, trying it early, laning the approach, and already getting to keep Rano in the corner. That's where you want to keep him. Sometimes that ledge trap isn't about keeping them off stage and resetting, but just keeping them in the corner to find that pick-me-up after the fact, especially with a character who can be as strong grounded as Crag can be.
I always refer to it as skipping steps.
Yes.
characters that are really fast or have extra ledge options or extra movement utility, like Rano, can sometimes be guilty of skipping steps. And things like the up throw on the rock does a great job of forcing Rano to play at your tempo, which is something that that Crag absolutely wants to benefit from, because he wants to get into a heavy trade, heavy scrap game and utilize his weight as a resource rather than just be combo food for someone like Rano. Cheesy, of course, finds to even up stock as Kaaeru opened up a crazy combo to gain an early lead, and Cheesy seems very comfortable finding her way back into control. The up the rock again, as you mentioned, Ritual.
Yeah, and the coverage here from Cheesy has been immaculate, right? Taking full advantage to lock down Rano's movement and force him constantly into these positions where the platform is far away, because once that platform comes over to the side of stage that Rano's on, right, it kind of becomes his turn no matter what. Like, he just has the movement, he has the ability to tech chase you there and back, and Crag being a big body doesn't have a way to get away or cover all of it at the commitment rate he wants to. And Cheesy's done a great job prioritizing the positioning, taking advantage of the platform in the way she can, and then just really just making Kaaeru work hard to do the movement aspect of Rano at all.
Yeah. I've been enjoying Kaaeru's use of down strong as well. It's a new down strong from Rivals 1, just like a splitting kick rather than the charge up punch into the ground that he does in the previous game. And Kaaeru has been flexing its speed and absolutely disgusting launch angle time and time again. Cheesy earlier got saved by the rock, which allowed her to turn this into a stock lead. And you know that Cheesy's offstage game is going to be prevalent. The down toss on the rock into a forward air, going so again, and going for the reset there. The down strong's going to finish off. She saw the get up attack and said that's going to extend your hurt box and leave you vulnerable. Down strong. Let's go to game 2.
And I think the funniest part of the way that one ended with the down toss was like, hey, that was like an infinite at the beginning of this game's beta, right?
Yeah.
And they patched it out. They found another way. They patched it out again. And guess what? Even without an infinite, it still is a tech chase. It's still a setup into your long combo strings and into your stock. And also, you mentioned, this is a side, but you mentioned that the low, disgusting launch angle. You know, in Smash we have a term for it. We just need to start calling it game dev angle.
True.
Is this the game dev angle?
It's why do game devs keep putting it in the game? They want you to lose. That's the end goal. And forward air here and another down strong instead of prolonging the tech chase. Still, Kaaeru is all about the guaranteed damage here as we see him pivot away from tech chases into the guaranteed damage time and time again. Forward air and seeing the drift and goes for yet another down strong. Contemplating an edge guard, but chooses against it to play back on stage, and the forward strong wraps up the stock, rewarded for his patience.
Especially letting that platform come over too, right? Cheesy air dodged early to get the pillar out low, save that wall jump, and try to get some flexibility coming back. But because that platform shows up, it means that it would trap your landing, and it limits your mix-up potential and allows Kaaeru to cover that stock. That being said, Cheesy able to answer right back. The grab could have been a huge opportunity, but hitting that reverse up tilt finds the pop up the way you want it to go and gets you pushed to the corner. Kaaeru now having to find a way out of disadvantage, and Cheesy really has done a great job, again, locking down this space. I'm a little surprised to see Kaaeru go back here, but I also understand why. You don't want to give, you know, you do like the platforms here against Crag, at least in theory, even though she's been so good at using them to her benefit.
Yes. Jules Vale is consistently seen as like, oh my god, the setup. Oh my god, the setup. Oh, it was gross. The up toss into the pillar to have the rock fall down onto the pillar and then also be liable for reaction, and then you have the tech chase down strong yet again, and we're just seeing Crag grab. Oh, we are flowing through time.
And one of the really disgusting things here about that, right off the grab, and we talked about the chain grab. We mentioned it from Cheesy as we may have lost the game or something.
Game broke.
Which happens.
She sauced too hard.
She did sauce too hard, and that's okay. Yep, the PC's just restarting right now, so we're gonna need to get the the keyboard up. We'll get that reset and restarted, and that's okay. But Ubel, it's that she's finding the grab, the toss. Which remember, if you don't buffer a throw without pummeling, there's no way to grab break it. Yes. But it also has a longer re-grab timer. So most characters can't find those tech chases unless they pummel first. That's why you see the normal pummel, special pummel, rock, paper, scissors, kind of like how Tekken does its grab break system, be so effective because you're incentivized to pummel to get maximum upside. However, Crag gets that down throw into the jab, which jab locks you into the reset to find that grab instead. And it's a very unique thing that Crab gets those guaranteed re-grabs compared to most of the cast at those low percents.
And if you tech, you either are put into a reset, or if you tech in any direction, that just already consumes the time that you need for a regrab, so you can just go for the grab again. It's perfect.
Reaction tech chase, baby.
It is the name of the game for a Crag who is as much a grappler as he has ever been on top of his normal heavyweight properties. And it leads into some meta development on top of that initial character design. It's like, oh, I don't really want to get grabbed, so I'm either going to outspace him or I'm going to cross him up so I don't get grabbed. But if you ever decide to cross up, as Kaaeru did earlier, well, you leave yourself prone to back air hit fall up strong at those higher percents, which is something that Cheesy flexed for the second stock and has made it basically impossible for Kaaeru to ever be truly safe if he's ever trying to apply a more Vortex-style offense. So it's going to have to be entirely on the discipline and the reaction of both these players to see how much they can keep themselves safe. And that's just the layers of fighting games, baby. That's why we play them.
Exactly. And you know, again, seeing these mix-ups, right, and the adaptation from these players has been so good. Because Rival, one of the things that's really cool about Rivals, right, us two especially, is the depth of options, right? We talk about how there's so many good defensive options in the game like Special. Well, guess what? Rivals says even more. You get those all the special get-ups, the options out of shield, everything else.
Unique to platform fighters to begin with. Like special pummel, special get-ups, special ledge get-ups. Never been in fighting games before. All of the studios have either constantly trying to innovate and make their characters as unique as possible. And Crack is certainly up there as a unique little guy.
And more options can mean more expressiveness, but so too does it mean, right, the way you implement them. And we saw that there from Cheesy, very, very creative from her to find that stock. But Kaaeru immediately answered back with one in turn. Gets that jab, up tilt, right, as we're used to seeing in the Rivals 2 Crag Classic.
Ooh, that was nice.
Trying to get the advantage state going, but the overextension Kaaeru almost got punished very hard. Cheesy just didn't quite expect it, though. Wasn't in a great position. Great floor hug there into the tech to find that way out of dodge throw.
Yeah, getting caught without the rock is... Oh my god, the body blocking is insane
and
off the
setup
rock. That was so good.
To get it, but she literally put you between a Crag and a hard place. The rock in the hard place? What?
She's so good. She's so studied. She knows. She's aware.
Like the fact that you set that up to say, hey, you either get hit by rock and get hit confirmed into the grab, or you get put between me and the rock, and that's a problem because there's a wall behind you now, is insane. That being said, she now has to find a way back down. Mono gonna continue the chase, but I really like just holding shield there, toss down, reset, say get down low, get out of this corner. I dare you. You've been struggling the whole time around, and I'm gonna make you pay. Here on Aeromoto, though, those moving side platforms in and out are going to be so good for Rana out of disadvantage to get past the exact ledge traps that Cheesy has been locking down. But Kaaeru's uncomfortability to stay on those platforms, always wanting to drop through and get back to the ground, has been something Cheesy has punished time and time again.
Yeah. Kaaeru has just had to play the reaction game there, and Cheesy passed it with flying colors. 149, and now Rock can do a little bit of the work. Letting the Rock hit, and the pummel broke it for the extra shard. Down toss, but no further follow-up, but yet the backboard is there to keep Cheesy ready and to get right back into the action. Sour hit a back air, seeing if you can get any sort of stock of it. No dice. Another tech on that wall. Needs to focus on somehow breaking it if he ever gets away to get around Cheesy and find his way into her blind spot. The back airs come down. Another tech on that wall. Again? Another tech on that wall. Finally, the reverse hit of forward air is going to net that stock. Final stock situation, but if that stock has anything to go by, Cheesy's got a long way to go, but doesn't even need it with the JV2. Cheesy looking sublime heading into Losers Finals.
Listen, Nooble, in my head, all I heard was in a very gravelly voice. One second. You know, just tech.
That's what it's there for. Right? That's what it's there for.
Hey, listen, all we're saying is, and I'm gonna say it, right?
Hey, man.
I'm from a bunch of different games. Ubel's from a bunch of different games. Ultimate's one of those games for both of us. Hey, if you're watching Sakurai, this is how you design a character that can build walls and throw blocks around. This is how you do it. It's Crag. It's not Steve. It's Crag. Big dog.
Big dog.
Just so you're not aware, Crag, you're sick.
Crag is sick. No, it's all about like. That's what always kills me about like design philosophy in fighting games and like design theory across the whole. Studios have either walked into Rivals 1 and Rivals 2 with a goal for the cast and a goal for the game. And Crag facilitates that because he uses his specials to augment his movement but he is relinquishing a lot of ability to control the game without access to those specials. That uniqueness comes at a cost.
And every character in Rivals, that unique core mechanic that they have, because each one does one of two things. They either amplify your own movement or they limit your opponent's movement.
With
right?
one exception.
That is the ebb and the flow, as you mentioned.
Yeah, the only exception consistently is Zetterburn, because he just kind of has the flame mechanic, but that is still taken into account for his movement, because his natural movement properties is so good that he doesn't need that extra effect to either dissuade, to either what's the word I'm looking at, nerf his opponent movement or buff his own movement. He just has this naturally strong tools, which is something that was added and considered for Studios of Ether.
And also his base design, right, while not of the archetype in and of itself, these characters like Fox and Falco, etc. from Melee, is still inspired by them in some levels as a base design of what are the things, like it's a deconstruction of what are the reasons that people enjoy playing these types of characters in terms of strong fundamental movement properties. Why do they enjoy moving with these characters specifically so much? And that's what Zetterburn kind of represents. He's not those archetypes, but he is a deconstruction in some of his kit and some of his tools of why do they like these types of movement and how do we design our own thing that is its own thing, but it's inspired by that type of fundamental movement-based
Exactly.
enjoyment.
He's the baseline. He's the control group for what every other character's for every other character's movement stats are, and how do they augment their movement, whether it be with characters we see later in Rivals 2, like we may see Edelus, for instance, come back. We may see Eliana or Sylvanos come back.
Give me Eliana back. I love that character.
But and even the characters in Rivals 2, we see how Orcane affects that movement with use of Puddle. We see how characters like Rano how can augment their own movement. Like mobility is still a very core concept. Now you just add extra wrinkles in Rivals 2 where like shields and the movement that come with shields, jumping out of it, shield dropping, things of that nature. I can just talk about design philosophy in this game forever because everything is so well considered.
Well, it does what Hat in Time did for the Mario 64 formula.
That's so true.
For the platform fighter genre, right, as a whole. It's that idea of the deconstruction of movement at its finest as integral to a movement-based game. And now, we're going to see two players who are excellent for their movement in amplification versus nullification, right, respectively. Here, implement that to its fullest, and early on, it's the amplification aspect that's coming out on top because it's Lucius waiting out, locking down the big-bodied Crag. And while we saw Cheesy just run over Kaaeru before, it's a completely different side of the matchup we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, Kaaeru seemed to focus on, in the games that we saw him play against Cheesy, was all about, like, how do I hit this Crag and, like, cash out, like go for big damage, go for big setups, go for forward strongs, down strongs, all of the above. Meanwhile, Lucius going back to his signature style. It's like, all right, how do I make it so Crag is not able to hit me, and then I find these huge whiff punishes afterwards and keep as safe as possible while doing it. It's just making Crag's life to find damage as hard as he can, and as well as awareness of the matchup. Perfect ideas there for Lucius. When Crag spawns Pillar, he is in end lag, and you can go out and edge guard him and create big scenarios like that for a whole stock taken at less than 100%.
And the low blast zone, they're coming to bite Cheesy a little bit, right? She thought the Pillar had already been gone because it was well off screen, had maybe was able to just get it up, but just wasn't able to stall quite enough. Ooh, now though does get the push Lucius out and has got on the board, but still is a whole stock down. And as you mentioned, the whiff punishes have been reigning supreme because Cheesy has to commit at some point, and it's such a big body, has that landing lag even on her recovery, right, with the Pillar, that just by making Cheesy try to swing for you above or behind, she has to commit in a position that Rana will just be able to throw out an active hitbox for.
Lucius is putting out plenty of those. The rock isn't even going to deter that forward tilt, looking for down tilts, but no dice. Instead, the push off from the special pummel just continues to let Lucius augment his offense. No sweat, a shrug of the shoulders, and a move on for a two-stock game.
It looked like Cheesy there might have been trying to air dodge to ledge,
seemed that way,
but just missed it slightly. Although again, sometimes it's hard to tell, like, because the strength of things like wave landing in this game to just cross up your opponent and maybe try and find something like reversal. I like the parry there early on the needles, but with this larger stage with those high side plats, parry still even gives Lucius the time to say, okay, my needle has so low and like I'm gonna back off to the side plat and just reset entirely.
Interesting layer there from Lucius. We saw the back throw into tech chases time and time again in the game 1. This time, back throw into back off. Like, all right, I don't need to take every advantage because I know I have this prolific combo game to make up for any one of my openings. So I'm just going to try and accrue information time and time again. Always playing in frame is what Lucius does best. Oh, the up air, though. Sometimes playing in frame is always going to make it really tough. That's also, yes, back hit of Nair that's sending the rocks at the shards at that angle.
Yeah, I was going to say, the angle is up there from Cheesy to cover the ground from up high, or the air from down low. Absolutely gorgeous.
It's
and
great.
We're seeing the big adjustment from her already. Again, recognizing that this stage, while very good for Rano in some ways, especially in the corner, in center stage does create that V that lanes him to where you want to go and lets you get up there to juggle him to boot. So she was taking full advantage, and we're seeing the vertical strings, those up tilts to get things started with Krag's up air and juggle game as well that we hadn't seen from her really so far at ARC. She's adapting to Lucius, and it's let her get this early lead and 70% to boot. But the difference between 3 stocks to 1 and 2 stocks to 2 is absolutely huge. If Lucius can even up the stock count, this game's even no matter what percent he's down. If Cheesy can get 3 stocks to 1 though, she's gonna feel a little bit like she's got a little breathing room to work with.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time before we find that stock. The down tilt into the up strong is going to do it on Fire Capital. Usually the big blast zones allow characters like Krag to survive for such a good long time. Uh-oh. The pillar is spawned, but both players scrambling. No pillar, the get-up attack, but the pillar allows Cheesy to get back. Only 50% taken is not bad at all, especially since your stock was on the line, given that gambit from Lucius.
Even still, Lucius though with a great downer there right by the edge of the platform, right? Ambiguous enough that Cheesy was trying to catch landing lag and then just wasn't quite able to do so. Lucius getting the break that definitely saved his stock there. However, now it's just going to be damage dragging on the bubbles into the forward air, doing it, as we mentioned before, just like that, right? Down 110%, it doesn't matter. The game's even when the stock count is, and now Lucius firmly in the driver's seat.
Rano's so good.
Lucius
is so good, but Rano is so good.
Why does up tilt auto space? That's what I want.
That is a genuine question that I've been wondering since Rivals 1 released. Like, why does it do that?
It's really cool. But
why is this frog like this?
Also, Dan, if you're watching, give Rano like a breakdancer skin or like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gi or something. Like, because the way this character moves and does the flips and everything reminds me of those styles of movement so much.
Yeah, he is a monk after all. As we get to see Lucius just gain full control of this neutral of the spacing, like being able to back off and find himself in the other side of the stage at a moment's notice. The back air comes in. Cheesy forced to play with a high pillar, which is always dangerous. Looking for the hit fall of the up air 1, but no dice yet. We stuff out the jump with the back air. Lucius aiming for a trade, finds it, but that is not going to let him continue that edge guard by any conceivable means. The up strong comes down, adding onto it the up special, but the special get up could result in the stock here for Cheesy. And as you said earlier, Ritual, a stock taken is a stock taken regardless of the percentage.
That was so smart there from Lucius, though, utilizing the bubble adjust with Cheesy in it so that he could shift Cheesy's positioning just enough where she had set up that boulder right on the platform so that if Lucius hit her, she'd be able to get the DI up into the tech. Lucius puts her in the bubble, says, wait, you have needle stacks, hold on, and just shifts her just enough that no matter how she DIs, she gets sent off to the side of it. That level of counterplay where you literally get to hold your opponent in place and say, oh, you positioned perfectly? No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
And it's just so cool.
Oh, hit her. Okay. When Krag has rock in hand, for anyone that does not know, he cannot air dodge. He has to get rid of the rock first. So if you hit Krag while he is holding the rock, that's have fun.
Yeah, he's stuck with a rock in a hard place.
Yeah, he's stuck there. Bro cannot move.
Speaking of being stuck though, right? Like, this is such an awkward situation because Krag can do so much to cover the space, get some incredible advantage states with these side platforms, but so too can Lucius's movement with this Rano, especially able to just dance around and play so high that Krag really has to commit. Once Krag gets the hit on the stage, it's his favorite place. But in the interim, it can just be so hard to actually tie down Lucius, and we're seeing that so far that Cheesy, once she gets the hit, is doing great, but it's getting that hit that Lucius is making about as hard as possible.
Yeah, she wants to try and force Lucius into playing small ball, but small rivals is really hard to get to when you have such fast characters. Instead, going over the top there with the down air, recognizing the missed tech, and launches that down strong. Nice stuff from Cheesy in order to find that stock lead. A parry on the side special. but the ceiling rocket was there. It was preemptive. It was so clutch for Cheesy to stay alive.
And the perfect height for the pillar too there, right? If Cheesy puts that pillar any higher up, Lucius is just going to throw it back here, break it, and Cheesy's dead. Instead, he has to back off at the perfect height where Cheesy is suddenly actionable with that grounded movement, and the pillar is below her to protect. Fully protected. It was a great opportunity for her, now living at 173. And remember, Krag's a big boy, but even still, this is a high percent to be living in against Rano in this patch. Finally going to take it with the back air. Going to get the bubble online. This is a good position for Lucius. Cheesy wanted a little bit more extra credit, but now the mistech off stage, I mean, it could get rough fast.
But the shift in gameplay immediately taking these big hits and then going back to a more Krag-style zoning that Cheesy's very, very good at, utilizing rock tossing shards to threaten a lot more space as Lucius looks for mobility and ways to get in. The rock comes down, of course. Cheesy trying to keep it around as long as possible, as goes for the grab, but Lucius backs off, respecting the fact that he might not have had the frames and the dive kick off stage.
Yeah, he was close enough to ledge that maybe, he was trying to get the reverse ledge grab. Right. Remember that in Rivals 2, even though it's more precise than in some other platform fighters, there is actually you can grab ledge facing the wrong way, unlike in Melee, which you actually couldn't. Oh, that's right. That time though, Lucius missed it slightly. Just too far away, didn't grab it, and at that point, you could tell after he lost that stock to his own and misinput, it felt like he was just a little off in his confidence of movement the rest of the game. Cheesy took full advantage because once you're at this level, right, you're given an inch, you take that mile, and Lucius is going to have to reset here, suddenly put in a game 4 that he may not have been expecting to play.
But it's never something that you can't be prepared to play. Every set that you play at this level, like at losers finals, you should be anticipating going to game 5 and playing your heart and soul into all of it, especially for two players who wear their characters on their sleeve. Like Rano and Lucius are synonymous with each other in so many instances because it's just the character you focus on. No. I mean, you give that inch, you take that mile. And so, double hit fall up air. Lucius looking for some extensions, but instead it's Cheesy starting to flow a little bit thanks to the rock traps.
Dude, the back air there to disrupt that rock trap. Even still, Cheesy already ready for it to find the pickup. Right, for that back and forth, that was absolutely immaculate. Utilizing the charge needles there as well, recognizing Krag's a big body, so you hit the extra angles on that grounded position was super smart from Lucius, right? That's something that you're going to see only these players who have the Rivals 1 experience really doing consistently.
Absolutely, here as we see the flat drop back air. Oh, getting a little too greedy again. Cheesy finding stocks wherever she can. The rock ceiling comes down just in the nick of time for that up tilt to be intercepted. Oh, hello. Didn't take the up strong. Choosing to instead double up the forward air, respecting the DI mix-up that was there from Cheesy. So always looking for the guaranteed damage. I don't hate it against a character like Krag, who, while hunting for the stock is absolutely a necessity, you also got to make sure that you're keeping Krag in disadvantage so he doesn't get the ball rolling.
And I got to shout out both these players so far, because of the Rivals 1 players I've watched in any capacity, these two and Take Assault are by far the 3 best people who were Rivals 1 players at playing around the ledge, right? Yeah. Whether it's edge guarding, whether it's ledge trapping, whether it's just getting those ledge hogs to steal those stocks away, like we've seen from both players time and time again in this set. They're just better at it than most of the rest of folks who didn't specialize in another game before. Cheesy now trying to keep that going with his advantage state, forcing it early. Lucius going to be ready in. Even still, it's a trap the whole time, and just like that, it's getting a little stormy out here. Lucius has got to stem the bleeding and fast.
Yeah, the eruption is online for Cheesy if she gets that one hit, the grab with the ledge in order to try and keep safe. Looking for back air, a prominent starter of Krag in Rivals 2. Not as much in air anymore, but was caught with rock in hand for a little bit. Still has Paragus able to get back to ledge, and then the spacing trap was there from Lucius. Looking for the up strong, looking to send it all. Looking so for again, playing the extra layer of the mix-up, understanding the spot dodge or the shield might be coming. Lucius needs to end this stock here. Do not let Cheesy get back to stage for free, but he does, and Cheesy gets a chance to try and set up back air, but the pillar is there. Chooses to break it with the needles, yet we're continuing to go. The forward tilt comes down, looking for up strong, looking for back air, but Cheesy holds on further. Up air, no, the second one misses, and he goes over the pillar, and that's the set. Tragic outcome there for Cheesy. Does not find the second hit, and Rano being able to put out a back air at that timing to save his life. Lucius takes the set, and the computer said, "All right, give me a moment."
I'm gonna be real too. I heard a little bit of a right there when that computer crashed. So it might have been a momentary power draw issue. That's how it goes sometimes. But we're getting this one right back online. We can already see it restarting. So it'll be just a minute or two before we get into grand finals. And Ubel, while it ended in an unfortunate fashion, right? Remember, last hit scenario there, despite Cheesy SDing at 0 at the beginning of the game, too. She was on a tear in her character's hardest matchup in Rivals 2. And, I mean, those two, the adaptations, the movement, the way they were, you were seeing Lucius recognize the first time in the set, or the first time I'm crag trapped in some of these scenarios, things that we were even geeking out about, and you, someone who's seen Rivals at the top level for a very long time, were geeking out about, because we just, like, some of these traps are new, some of them are creative, and Lucius was calling them out immediately. He was ready, and we saw, like, his ability, the thing that sticks out for me, for Lucius especially, more than anything else, is his needles. His ability to find, like, yes, Rano aerial needles have no end lag at all. It's kind of insane. If you don't believe me, go try to just do aerial needle nair sometime and just see how fast it comes out.
Feel the power.
But Lucius finds them just when nobody else, like, he's like, oh, you know, I can needles here, or I can get a reset here, or you're going to jump to ledge here. I can get needles there just fast enough. And it's a brilliant heads-up awareness that I feel like is something you normally see a year or two into a game's lifespan. And Lucius is like, I got a time machine, guys. I haven't told you yet, but like that's how I keep getting these first two built this fast.
It's his calling card. It's
so good.
Like we were talking about it before the stream started. The difference between who are more than likely the two best rivals to Ranos right now, being Lucius, who's you'll be seeing in grand finals, and Darai. Darai is much more about the on-hit game, much more about playing the mid-range neutral to extend, while Lucius is always looking to play defense to bait over aggression, to find whiff punishes. A lot of Rano's game plans in general involve needles, but especially the whiff punish game, the dash back game, the defense game, that's where needles really, really shine. And it's what Lucius focuses on when it comes to how he augments his entire game plan, how he thinks players are going to react to his style of play. A big question that he answers from the word go at game 1, round 1, is how do you deal with needles? And if he's able to figure that out within the first stock or two, that sets the tone for the entire set.
And the thing with aerial needles, especially with Ron's ability to edge cancel, is that not only do you have to figure out how to deal with needles and the differing angles that they come at depending on how long you charge it, right? So you have to figure out, hey, Rano's really fast and these needles have no lag. How do I not only deal with needle, but how do I deal with the Rano that's right behind the needle? Because if I get hit by the needle and Rano's following it up, well, suddenly I'm getting comboed, right? If I deal with the needle and don't account for the Rano, if I account for both and he backs off, then he can grab me with the side special. Right? Rano's burst range is just massive, and his ability to mix that up through needle as that kind of fulcrum, right? That back and forth, that focal point of the seesaw that tips it back and forth is just so good, because you have to account, is he going to projectile, is he not, completely different routes on how you play around that and play off that. And even if he does throw out the projectile and you get the 50-50 right, you still have to say, is he going to go in, is he going to go out, how is he going to follow up on this, and then is he going to, do I have to hold shield, which I have to shield if he throws a needle and comes in, but if he's going out, then I get grabbed for it.
So I'm going to give you the secret, right?
Yeah.
Platform fighters, particularly like Rivals Vther, Rivals 2, Melee, games that are a little bit more fast-paced that involve a heavy mixture of momentum-based movement, you can actively say the answer of, oh man, this situation's really good. If Arano's trying to approach me with aerial needles and then like follow up with a hitbox or maybe back off, I'm just going to not play this situation. Yeah, agreed. That's the answer. Like that, legitimately, you as every character in this game, with the exception of maybe Krag, depending on the context of the situation as a whole, are able to say, I do not want to play this situation. I'm going to run up, hold shield, then wave dash out of shield, and bypass it.
Oh, hold on. Not just Krag. Respectfully, I got to shout out my boy.
Loxodon.
Yeah, don't forget about my boy. Don't forget about my boy.
Loxodon.
Dan, I know you forgot about my boy,
You're suffering, Loxodon. I'm
Dan,
sorry.
I know you forgot about my boy, but Ubel, I'm not going to let you forget. No. Loxodon, my sweet summer child, he's got such sauce.
Also has like
he can play
a disjointed up tilt and like Meatball can be a problem.
Listen, all I'm saying is, like, Crag and Loxodon are the Monstars, right? Crag dunks you off the backboard, and Loxodon's the one dribbling and setting you up with the alley-oops himself. Like, these two are just playing basketball over here. Some NBA Jam going through it as they get, you know, and while they get kind of caught for their advantage, they're also kind of more of a unique archetype in that they have this ability to stand your ground in a way that the rest of the Rivals cast doesn't, right?
Especially Loxodon.
And like through but it's just like the way their projectiles interact with themselves and the rest of the cast, right? Play off hitting yourself, which again, you can hit fall for hitting those things as well. So just the ability that those projectiles then open up their own movement, their own explosive potential to just create pressure and extend their own burst range despite that limited movement means that even though they can't avoid playing the situation, they can try and create a bubble of space through movement. They want to create a bubble that says, hey, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit for trying to play the situation. So while normally it's me trying to avoid it, you actually want to avoid the situation that ordinarily would be good for you because I'm changing the rules of the game.
It's the classic difference between positive and negative space. Where can you actively put hitboxes versus where can you represent hitbox and like represent theoretical danger, and if you do it or not. Characters like Loxodon can like, all right, I'm centering around with this axe, and like I have up tilt to cover space, I have forward tilt to cover space, I have Meatball that's being dribbled around, all of that shenanigans. For anyone that is wondering about what's going on back there, PC Gaming Lamau. So eventually Rivals 2 will get set up and we'll be getting into Grand Finals. But for the moment, thank you all so much for watching here on VG Bootcamp 2.
And while we're thanking them for watching, Ubel, maybe they should like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter,
It's
Twitch,
all right there.
YouTube, and Facebook at VG Bootcamp or VG Bootcamp 2.
Yeah, only on Twitch will be VG Bootcamp 2, but everywhere else will be VG Bootcamp, and you can like, follow, and subscribe for all of the platform fighter action that you'll be seeing here at Defend the North 10. And while we're shouting out VG Bootcamp 2, we also got to shout out the main premiere production of this event, which is House of 3000, which you can check out currently. Nothing right now, but it will be getting into a... they just finished up Samurai Showdown over on House of 3000, which is twitch.tv/House of 3000. You can also find them on Twitter at HO3KNYC and everywhere else, Blue Sky, YouTube, on their Discord, house of3000.nyc. And if you're interested in hiring them for your event, you can get a quote using events@house of3000.nyc.
And while we don't have an ad slide, while we're talking about production as well, I do want to just shout out Datagram, shout out Lunar Phase as a whole. Datagram, the premier production group for anime fighters here in New York City, and does a lot of other stuff as well, is the person actually behind the production chair of this very stream right now, helping bring Rivals to you all folks at home, and is someone utterly fantastic as well that you should absolutely check out, hire, and work with. That being said, this event would not be possible first and foremost, without one of our main monitor providers for this event, Pixio.
Yeah, Pixio, a California-based direct-to-consumer esports peripheral brand. They don't just do monitors, but they also do keyboards, mice, other utilities like webcams, and high-quality, high-performance gaming gear at a reasonable price. Currently, Pixio is the only monitor company on the market that provides high-quality monitors in a variety of colors as well, pink, blue, white, and more to come. They're also looking to partner with FGC events across the country to support the local scenes. So if there are any interested in groups looking to have a monitor partner for your event, you can head over to the Pixio booth here now if you're at DTNX, or you can DM them on Twitter.
And I believe while we have some more things to talk about, Ubel, you know, we can very quickly, I just want to also shout out Remix Prints, one of the merch vendors here. You can check them out at remixedprintsnyc.store for all of these designs and many more. I love these things. They are FGC merch, but they also just work so well as streetwear. However, we should come on back because they're ready to play. Getting into game one, the button check just ended, and Ubel, let's get off on a good note here in Grand Finals.
Yeah. Grand Finals starting off strong. Back on the Godai Delta with Lucius already trying to play as a little bit more passive, a little bit more focused in just what he's doing. He already had a solid game plan going when he was in advantage, like so. The jab into down to there, not going jab 2, not going with up tilt, keeping it as safe as possible to start off. And then it's all about something we've mentioned time and time again here during this block. Rano needles are a menace.
Dude, Rano Needles have just been absolutely insane. And the way that we're seeing Lucius already adapt to do that, right? Dash away Needles. Are you going to run in, and are you going to get hit by the Needles, in which case he gets advantage save, or not? And you're still maybe going to get hit by the Needles, and then he gets the poison stack, right? Worst case is nothing here against Clarion. Maybe they get that counter online if they're expecting it, but otherwise, it's just poison, and it's just chip that Lucius fully benefits from. Now, though, that multi-hit neutral are going to cut all those stacks away, and that's exactly where Boiko wants to be. Finding those neutral when the poison needle comes online is going to be key to Boiko staying in this one.
100%. The bubble being spawned by the special getup, allowing Lucius to play around with it as much as possible. The empty hop into up tilt, trying to set up the reverse hit of it for a little bit of a delay in case like something like a parry come out from Boiko, thanks to him facing backwards. Did not fear the grab. Up, he's back to stage, still holding on and playing the full screen game, representing Rano's movement as much as possible, but Boiko just playing underneath this platform, poking so unbelievable well, keeping as close to the chest as he can with the opportunity, but Rano down there, one connected, and now your full poison stack with the reverse forward air coming in. Can Lucius finish this edge guard? Only time will tell, and the time says no, but he picks up the second one after.
Yeah, I love that. I love that mix up where you just are in your movement, and so you say, hey, I can reaction ledge trap you, right? I've learned the cues here well enough, even though the ledges are new, that no matter what you do, I'm going to be able to cover it on the result. You see that there from Boiko as well. Oh, with the sword, it's a little bit easier, right? Your hitbox will just cover up more space. Right now, it's about playing around the platform for Lucius, who instead backs away. Boiko calls it out and takes full advantage. That sword, again, just covers the exact arcs that Lucius and Rano want to retreat on.
Yeah, Boiko falling back into that same game plan that works so well. Call and response. It's hard to keep up with Rano. Near impossible for a character like Clarion. So why are you trying to play his game? Instead, try to focus on what you can do in these moments, which is oftentimes just good spacing and add a shield gameplay. Let him set the tempo and just know based on patterns and recognition and situational awareness that you're able to get the better of most of those options.
1, 2, 3, 4 fairs there is the charm. The sword's not going to connect, and that was a big pressure situation for Lucius the first time around. It was, how do I deal with that second hit of Clarion up special there, off ledge? Edge, he's found the answer now, is able to keep resetting, keep his juggles going, tries to go for an edge guard though, and suddenly he's right back in the same situation. He does get the scramble, but that was an extra 20% of chip for Boiko, and that's huge when you're down.
Oh, absolutely. Boiko is steadily able to make it so that he is very much in this game, forcing immediately Lucius to take the long recovery route, which allows for these extra bit of reactions. Another back throw into the forward strong, holding as steady as he can, but it's so hard to anticipate Lucius and this Rano movement that is so good in disadvantage. We see Boiko always choosing the safe route, trying to keep the damage as little as possible going into the final stock, disrupting the bubble, but not enough in order to prevent the slingshot. Just getting back to center stage and playing the next interaction, yet the forward strong was off the mark, and suddenly Lucius is allowed to flow yet again, but a little bit of a too risky of a dash attack, and suddenly Lucius is back in the blender.
Lucius' understanding here of how to extend these situations, and then Boiko's in turn, right, of how to consistently set up for these grabs, look for the tippers, right, find the forward strongs, not just because of the confirm, but also because they just control space, right? They're at low percent. Okay, I'm just going to deal 10 because you just can't jump in and on at me at all. And then, again, timing mix-up. Wait, the adaptation mid-stock even is gorgeous between these two.
Yeah, Yomi levels are in full effect here. That time it was just run up down tilt, by the way. Chat, I want you to keep in mind as we get deeper into the set how many times Lucius runs up on Boiko shielding and what he does, whether it be jab 1, 2, 3, immediate down tilt, an up tilt, or a runaway. That is the interaction that is setting the tone for the entirety of this set.
Hold on, there's a huge opportunity here from Boiko, but he's going to overextend just a tiny bit, and only Lucius would be able to find that reversal situation right out of the fastball mix-up. Says, as I'm going to slide on past, find the hit for my trouble, get the hit fall, and just keep on going with my pressure. Now it's up to Lucius is to continue and close it on out. He got the advantage state. He forced the scramble out of a huge advantage state there from Boiko, but he's now got Boiko in the corner where that sword is not nearly as terrifying. This is Rano's playhouse, and you just have to capitalize.
Yeah, you just have to recognize and play around patterns, seeing the jump and catching with the back air. Opportunity still there. Tipper into the down air, into the up tilt, into the up air, but he doesn't find the tipper. It could have been it, but he was not quite spaced enough. And then the double back air. Again, pressure on shield. How does Lucius juxtapose what he did previously, or does he at all? At that time, it was the double back air, and it closed out the stock. And Lucius taking that game 1.
The difference between that game almost felt like, you know, even again, right, this is a new game, it's a new engine compared to Rivals 1, but the familiarity Lucius has with his character here is clearly, right, among the most we've seen in this bracket. Lucius and Cheesy, and then everyone else. And we're seeing that there, where Boiko was dropping, you know, a couple hits here or there, a couple finishers, where, yes, you have to be very precise with Claren, but even still, right, Lucius knew how to pick up every dropped route, whereas a lot of the time, Boiko sometimes was sure, sometimes had to guess, sometimes had to reset and just do it off a scrap.
I do like that option there from Lucius, using the Needle Storm as a tech chase option at low percents. Allows you to instantly get full needle stacks as well as a ton of damage. But you do have to be on point with the tech chase as compared to something like a Rano up tilt underneath the platform. Like, it's a lot more high committal. Still, you have to play around all of these platforms that Lucius does love to move around on. As mentioned earlier, this is his button check stage. But also, Boiko won here last time, so he's certainly able to close down where Lucius can move on a stage like this.
And we saw the button check, right, ledge cancel there before, but what Boiko's doing is recognizing, hey, he has to go down after the fact, and I've got a big sword. We keep mentioning it, but that's because it's really important. He can just sit in center stage, hold space, and then dare you to do that cancel, because if you do, Claren is the perfect character to actually just control the space at a non-committal distance to capitalize on it. Now they're getting put off stage, and really Boiko has impressed me with his routes back, right? His ability to push a very linear, limited distance recovery to the peak by utilizing the big hitbox it has and mixing up the swing timing, where even someone like Lucius who's been playing against Claren for years isn't quite sure what's coming.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that Lucius hasn't been trying to nail down some of these parry timings. That's typically been the way to mess with Claren's recovery route. Just anticipate the timing, recognize the spacing, and parry it every single time. But
No way.
Boiko is not allowing him to do that. Catching Lucius in his own trap and then finishing off the down air. This is a statement of a game after Lucius seemed in control of the previous one, and he doesn't finish off the stock on the ledge hog, but he does pick it up afterward. Lucius very good at recognizing when the edge guard didn't quite close out the stock and still able to pick up the next interaction, especially with one of those down tilt conversions.
And Umbla, I'm really glad you mentioned that we saw Boiko steal away that trap and then capitalize off of it, because in the last set, that was really the one thing that he was dropping more than anything, was he would get you in the bubble and just would never capitalize off of it on Lucius, and almost let Lucius steal away the set in the end. That time, though, the first time it comes up, we see him steal the stock for it, and that's going to be a huge difference maker as this 1 or 2 sets goes on here in Grand Finals. Remember, Lucius, despite winning that first game, has to take 2 sets. He's the one on loser's side, Boiko having taken winner's finals. So now it's just up to these two. Boiko having the lead, but not the percent on the next stock to really feel comfortable. This one's still even, Ubel, if Lucius can find the hit.
Oh, and we're seeing Boiko start to flow just that extra little bit, going for down air, looking for a second one, and doesn't get a tech scenario at all, just sent straight to the bottom blast. A nice spacing and persistence there from Boiko. You know that Rano's going to dictate the tempo, so you got to make those openings count. In game 2, that is absolutely what he did. One opening at 45% was oftentimes meaning he was threatening a full stock taken rather than just good damage.
And the hit pause there, too, that Claren's tippers put you in, right, absolutely integral, because it means that even if you do get attacked, Claren has the time to set up the second one, and it allows those downers there to be a rinse repeat because of that wall that normally gives you such freedom of movement on recovery. Against Claren, against those down airs, it can often be a limiting factor that can really prevent the routes you're trying to take back. I'm fascinated to see how Lucius is going to adjust, especially if we see the efficiency from those dares continue to increase, because it's something that wasn't a present factor in the first set they played on winner's side.
There's some excellent platform movement from Boiko as well. Seeing him manipulate the platforms and lack of platforms on a stage like Jules Vale is so important. And then the forward throw into forward strong, catching Lucius DIing in just the wrong time. This is a huge pickup, though. There's no jump. But Oh, the hitbox on Kaaeru up special is just so good. Able to intercept the trade attempt from Lucius. No edge guard means that Lucius is once again very far behind in this game number 3.
I love the attempt at the grab there and recognizing, hey, you have low enough end lag that you got to throw up that tilt up right to cover it after the fact. The Dak is there coming out to just find some pressure for Lucius, but he has to just play around these platforms now. I like the up tilt attempt, even though it doesn't find its mark. Even still, right, this is the Kaaeru show, because once you're stuck under the platform, Kaaeru just gets to sit away and say, you don't have a way to jump in, mix up your approach on me. This is my territory when I'm the one holding center stage. Lucius gave up stage control and still can't get it back.
Man, this is going to be a really, really obvious statement. Boiko kind of sick.
Yeah, Boiko kind of sick.
He's so nasty. Like, this is such a statement of a game. After a game where he was already so thorough in his punish game, this is a statement, because this isn't like reaction punishes. This is prepared, anticipated reads that he is getting full value on over and over and over again. And this is insane.
And Umbo, the last one, remember too, was on his counter pick. This one is on Lucius's counter pick. This is one of the stages that Lucius and Rano are most comfortable on. That small stage size, those two platforms allow you to move so well around the sword and then whiff punish it. But even still, Boiko has locked it down. This is, as you mentioned, about as big a statement as you can get. Especially, we might see it if you're not careful. Your Lucius still hasn't taken a stock yet.
We're getting closer with every single stray hit. Lucius wanting that edge guard, but again, missing the timing on those recovery rounds. And it hasn't been that crazy of a change throughout this game. It's been like very fast fall low, not quite over yet production. Fast fall low, side B, wall jump, up special. It's been very, very straightforward, and that DI out is attempting to get to the bubble is not going to do it. Boiko with a little bit of grin in a firm command of this set.
And I understand why, right? You would say, okay, well, maybe that only kills on DI out. Why wouldn't you DI in and get yourself in a tech situation? Well, the answer is, when's the last time we saw Boiko drop a tech chase in this tournament?
We saw like a couple.
We've dropped one.
I could probably count them on one hand.
Yeah, like the entire bracket, right? Lucius has felt like every time he gets put on the ground, put in that tech situation, he's getting put in this plasma blender, and I would be scared to put myself in a tech there too, even if it is on paper the best way to survive.
Yeah, it guarantees your survival, but just for how long. Getting in the bubble is a little bit more beneficial for Rano given his general movement, but that is also assuming that Boiko isn't just absolutely ready for it. This is no jump on Rano. Has to extend. The extra hit lag is going to matter, but only for so long before the back throw into forward strong closes down the stock. Kaaeru, Boiko, everything in between. This is getting bad for Lucius.
And this was the stage that Lucius, too, remember on the winner's side, had his most dominant win in the set in. But right now, all of a sudden, Boiko has just heated up onto another level. And where we saw the small stages really benefit Lucius in this matchup on winner's side, all of a sudden here, we're seeing Boiko get more comfortable with the limited space and start to utilize his sword, because the benefit for Kaaeru here is, hey, less space to move means more space that's covered at any given time by that blade, right? Even though you lose your stock there at a low percent, you've been still so explosive that Lucius really is struggling to find ways to move freely.
And it goes to what we were talking about during the break, right, Ritual, where it's like, oh man, like Rano needles are such a good option for getting back into the situations like that, able to force a shield and allow yourself to get to ledge. But Boiko's been anticipating that time and time again and just putting out these up airs and these back airs at those 45-degree angles where Rano is typically so strong, and then another win on the ground game and absolute control over that horizontal plane.
And able to reset that, right? Boiko was in disadvantage there, but they were both on the platform, and Boiko waited till it rose all the way up to drop down because he knew, hey, Lucius, you can't actually like auto-cancel area. Your movement's really limited when that treetop platform is swung at its peak of the pendulum, right? When it's just so high up, and that's my way to get back to neutral. He did so. Lucius had to follow him, was then below the sword character for whom juggling is a specialty, and couldn't get back. Now we're seeing Lucius get this opportunity even at a disadvantage, but it's the callouts. It's everything. Like, Boiko has just got him read like a book.
It's these hard reads that are coming in so devastating. The up air isn't going to do it quite yet. Lucius on his last legs finds the forward air. See if you can come down with the edge guard, but the side special aiming directly for Kaaeru can always leave you open for so much devastation. And the simple conversion into the tipper up strong nails Boiko the set win in grand finals, over beating the 1 and the 2 seeds along the way to this victory by 3-1 fashion.
Yeah,
devastating.
Call CheesyPotato a prophet because she called it, right?
Yeah,
she said she lost and she was like, he's winning the whole thing. And
he was playing so good.
What do you like?
Insane.
That as you mentioned too, like Kaaeru has not been a lot of players, especially in Rivals 2, has not been their primary. Has been a secondary. Has been a pocket. Has
a lot
been
of theory crafting, not a ton of like actual development of showcase.
Yeah, you just saw it, and it takes some of those fundies. It takes some of those. You have to get a couple more reads here or there, a couple more 50-50s, but those are a lot more favorable for you because of your sort. And we saw, I think, something that we've talked a lot about on the cheesy side of things. But we talked a lot about how not a lot of Rivals players are doing, which is the ledge trapping. We didn't see a lot of these deep edge guards. We saw a couple, especially early on from Boiko. But where we got a lot of mileage, especially against Lucius, was setting up these situations where you are forced to go low, forced to go to ledge, and he's either going to down air you, or he's going to charge that neutral special, and again, utilize ledge quite literally as a trap, saying you have to go here, but you going here is what's going to kill you.
Yeah, and then you can play... you can augment off of that so reliably. Like, I think one of the biggest things about playing against Rano and playing against characters in Rivals of Aether is understanding the augmentations to this movement. And it's something we have brought out time and time again. Mobility is key in Rivals as a series. And what Rano does very well is teleport himself back to center stage with slingshots and with needles. And so with the ledge trapping and the ground game so strong for Boiko, he was able to make those plays because he knew that Lucius was going to do them in order to escape a position and move around a position, skip the step of where Boiko had been winning over and over and over again, and that facilitates those callouts that you mentioned, that facilitates the damage that was clearly on display, and facilitates why Boiko was able to win in such dominant fashion. Excellently played from Boiko. Congratulations to him.
And listen, Ubel, I think I understand what's happening here. Sure. You know why Boiko's so good with Kaaeru? Because he just traveled back in time from the future of the meta to show us what this character is capable of.
Clearly,
right? Just like his
Read the comic, by the way. It's pretty good.
It's really good. And you know what? Now that we might see that cannon battle actually happen at some point in-game in a story mode, because Lux and Kaaeru are both here. But we do have, speaking of fights, one more to talk about. We've got Urban Warriors. It's a fighting game, a party fighting game, in fact, from Chaotix Game Development on Steam and Epic Games in early access, available now. It's got gameplay inspired by early 2000s 3D arena fighters like Power Stone, Marvel Nemesis, Urban Reign, Fighting Force, Dynamic Cop, and we should probably tell Chupe and Momo Def Jam, because they absolutely killed that last night. But you can work together in a co-op beat-em-up mode, brawl against various street gangs, bank robbers, cyberpunks, rogue ninjas, and more. There's superheroes and squadron costumes, and so many different types of arena fighting players will find some love here. Also, I gotta say, the music is cyberpunk inspired. It's so incredibly good. Yes. That being said, I think we talked about a lot of the other sponsors before, but
yeah, we did. Of course, we can always shout out the stream that we are on right now, VG Bootcamp. You can follow and subscribe right here, right now at VG Bootcamp 1 and 2 and more for all of the platform fighter action. This has been Rivals 2. They also have Smash Ultimate going on a variety of their channels, primarily on their YouTube as well. So make sure you follow them at VG Bootcamp on Twitch, on Twitter, and on YouTube. This being VG Bootcamp as well. Wouldn't hurt to drop a follow here too.
Not at all. And while you're at it, hey, maybe check out some of those emotes. We don't have the slide on this one, but those emotes, my friend,
get emotes if you
absolutely fantastic. Fun. That being said, though, Ubel, this block has been absolutely fantastic.
Rivals 2 is sick.
That's going to be it for us. I've been Ritual. You can find me on Twitter at RitualCasts. You can also find me on any other social media platform at the same handle. Ubel, before we head out and let these people get over to another platform fighter, where can they find you?
You can find me at UBL267 on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on most platforms. That is my new handle, UBL267. Be sure to check me out, and of course, I'm always open for commentary criticism. If you want to DM me, my DMs are open at my Twitter, which is right down there. But we're going to be throwing to a break just for a moment as we get over to Smash Ultimate Top 8 right here on VG Bootcamp 2. Don't go anywhere. Some more Defend the North action for the 10th anniversary is going to come your way right after this.
Have a good one.